Awesome. All right, so a matter of principle. So basically, like, Discord casts a spell on main 6, and he has the cutie map call all of them to like the edges of Equestria, the edges of the world, and he's like, you guys have to go on this huge adventure. And so they're like, all right, well, I guess we're just gonna leave. Who should run, the giant school that we just started? This is kind of like one of those first problems you start to encounter. One of the first challenges you have when you start to perpetuate a business is like, what's gonna happen if, we're not here? Because basically what they've done is they've created like jobs. And so since they're all like leaving to go to this like faraway place, they have to leave someone in charge. So they leave Starlight in charge and basically say, hey, just like run this big scavenger hunt for like 4 days while we're gone. And that should be kind of cool, I guess. And so she's like, all right, sounds like a plan, guys. See ya. And the moment that they're gone, guess who shows up? Discord shows up, okay? So Discord shows up, and he's like, oh, I heard they're gone. I guess it's time for me to rule the school, or, lead the school, or whatever. And Starlight's, nah, dude, I'm gonna lead the school, because, she told me to lead school while she was gone. And, like, she's got all of her instructions on lesson plans, and everything that she's supposed to do. She's got her rule book, and she's got her plan, right? And Discord is like, he's like, well, he just feels left out, and he feels hurt, and he feels like he should be the leader. And so they go home that night, and they come back the next day. And when they come back the next day, Discord comes in, basically before everybody else. And he gets his own like substitute teachers. So if you guys remember, like Iron Will, he gets Iron Will to be a teacher. He gets Cranky Doodle Donkey to be a teacher. And then if you guys remember, like that episode where Spike kept like sneezing, he gets a dragon sneeze tree to be a teacher. And it's just a huge mess because like Iron Will is like this big guy, and Cranky Doodle Donkey's like this really quiet guy. And this is a tree. And so they don't make good, like they're just awful teachers. It's ridiculous. And then he has like stuff floating around the hallways everywhere. He messes up all the rooms. He makes everything crazy messy. And Starlight comes in and she's like, dude, what in the world? Stop this crap. And she uses basically like the power that she got from Twilight before they left. And she's like, this is just like unacceptable. This is berserk. And so she kind of like banishes him from the school. At least his physical form from the school. And so like he's basically got to leave. And all of his bad substitute teachers come with him because they just weren't teaching friendship in it. So she comes back, and what she did was she forced him out, right? She forced him. She used her magic, and she said, "You will leave the school." She forced him to come out of the school, or to just leave, right? Which is like the bad way to approach any situation, right? And so he knows this, she knows this, but she can't do anything about it. Except Discord, he can do something about it. So he like enters the school as a ghost, and uses like his ghost form basically to kind of like terrorize all the kids, right? So you got the kids and they're going on this scavenger hunt and they're having a great time, and then Discord comes in and just like turns like the entire like school into like quicksand maze, and there's like slides everywhere, and there's like holes and portals, and it's just a giant mess as he comes in and basically like ruins everybody's day as this like ghost guy, just to get back at Starlight for kicking him out, not letting him help lead and not helping him, because he just wanted to be like the vice head mayor or just help with being head mayor. He just wanted to have a feeling of significance, a feeling of importance, and a feeling of value in the school system. And he just was like ripped away from that and forced not to do it. It was just awful, right? Because Starlight, she absolutely destroys the base of this relationship by saying no to someone who's just trying to help. And so because of that, again, he goes on this giant rant and just like destroys tons of parts of the school and ruins this whole scavenger hunt for everybody because he didn't get his way, which is just like a childish thing to do. Just absolutely ridiculous. And it all kind of stemmed from him being jealous, from being pissy, him being upset with what was going on. Because of that, it was just a bad situation for him, for everyone that was involved. It was an awful thing. And so Starlight, she has her own teachers that come in. She has Trixie come in, and she has, Rainbow Dash's trainer come in, and as Spitfire and Mod Pie, they try to figure out what's going on. Like, they basically have no clue, and they're just there just help to teach. But they can't teach because the whole school's in messes and shambles. And so, Starlight, she tries to talk to Discord. She meets him out on the course. She meets him outside. She says, "What is going on?" And she realizes that she needs to do what is so difficult to do, but the moment you can do it, it changes everything. She needs to take herself down from this pedestal she's put herself on as, the head mayor. She needs to get rid of that crap, come down here, and talk with Discord as a person, and even elevate him on his own pedestal. And the moment that she can do that, everything in this relationship changes. Because now she's connecting with him, and she cares about this relationship. And the moment that she cares about that relationship, everything changes, right? She can understand what Discord is really thinking and what's actually going on in his mind at this instant. It's making him do all this crap to everybody. And the moment she can understand where he's coming from, and she knows what his drives are, what his desires are, it's so much easier. She realizes that he just wants to play a part. He just wants to get this feeling of significance that'll come from him helping in school. And she realizes that it was wrong to force him away, and that it was awful to push him out of the school. So she lets him come back in exchange for, getting rid of all this chaos and this mess everywhere, which is just ridiculous, right? And in the end, they reconcile as friends, and they reconcile as co-workers because they understand each other's positions. And she took the freaking 10 or 20 minutes that it takes to actually sit down and talk with Discord, to understand where he was coming from on a personal level. And the moment that she did that, all the troubles, all the hardships, everything just washed away. It became so much easier for them to rule together than it could ever be for them to be apart and for them to be fighting with one another, because that violence will manifest itself not only in their relationship, but in the actual physical state of everyone else in this school. And it showed with this chaotic scavenger hunt. It was just a terrible event for everybody because they were arguing and they were fighting. Instead of coming together, working as a team, you're trying to constructively figure out the best way to solve a problem, the best way to move forward, the best way to turn this challenge into a solution and make it work as a team, instead of trying to just take that power, right? The power that was left by Twilight and given to Starlight is something that would have made Discord feel so significant that even just giving him a little bit of care, a little bit of significance, a little bit of impact would have turned him from this, terrible, offensive, mean event into a high quality connection. And then at the end, the main six come back and they realize that this was a total lie, and basically Discord sent them all off on this wild goose chase for no reason. Except to kind of mess with Starlight, which was kind of mean. So that's kind of how it ends. He's kind of I don't know, it's this bad situation where he's manipulating those around him so that he can learn with those that are with him. So it's interesting. It's a interesting character dynamic, and he just kind of does this all the time, and we'll see it more throughout the rest of this episode. Him intentionally creating problems, so that he can really bond at an intimate level with one-on-one person. And this is a cool concept. I'll take just a minute for this because it's huge. We do need to move on, but this idea of grouping together and being friends with maybe a small, intimate, close group of people with very, very strong one-on-one connections, versus being friends with tons and tons of people with maybe not as strong personal connections on a one-on-one basis, but a very, very strong group identity. And these are two very distinct groups. The Discord and the main six, they all definitely fall into this group. And so Discord's goal here is to really isolate this one relationship and be able to build on it completely alone, because that's really the strongest way that he can build this really, really deep bond with someone, by overcoming challenge, overcoming adversity. Because if you work in a group like this, it's just a lot harder to really get these intimate one-on-one connections with someone else that are going to be really, really, really deep, because again, it's all tied to that actual group identity instead of the individual. And so if you're working especially towards creating a quality mastermind, you you definitely want to be connecting on more one-on-one level than any kind of group work or group project that ever really hope to have that same level of intimacy. It's going to lead you to the results that you want, especially if you're pursuing this for a professional purpose, to really have that impact, significance, and development. It all kind of stems from your ability to work very closely with one another and as a group, not just as a group, because it's all based on these quality relationship assets that are going to develop over time and really turn into great successes in reality, which is like ridiculously cool. So yeah. Sweet. Awesome. Okay. So Hearthwarming Club. Okay. You got challenge. Yeah, challenge. Remember, don't say problem, say challenge. So you gotta see it in the picture. Basically, there's like they're decorating for like Christmas Eve, Hearthwarming Eve, whatever, right? And they've got like this huge room they're doing it in, and they've got this big Christmas tree. Just a really awesome decorations for the holiday, and everyone's super excited for it. But then little bit of a problem, like the night before everyone is supposed to go home for the holidays, somebody breaks into this big room and they just make a giant mess, like everywhere. There's like slime everywhere, they ruin all the decorations, and they just like put this purple slime over everything. It's just this huge mess everywhere. And it's just kind of like gross. And so basically like mostly it's just Twilight and then Spike and Rainbow. But the main things, they're coming and they're like, dude, what in the world just happened? Like, what the heck, man? Why is there like slime all over the room and all the decorations are just destroyed? And so they call in the young six, right? And they're like, all right, guys, somebody messed up this room. And basically we kind of know it was you guys. So it was one of these guys, one of them did this, but they just don't really know who, it's like, who did it? They don't really know. And so they say, we're going to call you guys one at a time to come over to this room and basically like, you've got to like tell us if you did it and be honest and transparent. And if you did, then no big deal. Just got to clean this crap up and stay for some extra, schoolwork over the break. And if nobody fesses up, then everybody has to stay and nobody can go home for the holidays, which is like pretty crap, man. And also everybody has to clean up because there's a giant mess everywhere, right? And so as the episode goes on, they come and they start cleaning up, this slime's just like everywhere. And as they're cleaning up, they start to call them, one by one into this room to get them to confess and put on the pressure. And as, a couple of them keep going and they come out, and they go in and they come out, basically like at the beginning, nobody, no one wants to confess that it was like them, right? Because remember, it's difficult to tell the truth, especially in a situation where it's like, basically you have to stay home for like all of Christmas break and like do, like that's a harsh situation to be in, right? It's also, like a pretty bad thing to do, it kind of like ruin all these decorations that they spent like all night doing. Kind of not the nicest thing to do, And so as they're interviewing everybody, and you've got like 4 or 5 of them out there at the same time while one person's out getting interviewed or whatever. They start to do like this one really powerful thing, and it's like the best way to really strengthen and form these intimate bonds and connections with one another, with anyone else in your mastermind, in your group, whatever it is you want to do. And that's that they share stories, right? Remember, stories are like the best way to actually show others like where you come from and help bring them into your point of view, your life, your identity, and your being, right? And like you learn the most about somebody about their life. I mean, friends, family, coworkers, whatever. You learn the most through stories. And so that's kind of what they do, right? Is as they're cleaning up and they've got like these big mops, big brooms, whatever, they just start to tell each other story after story after story about how they grew up and how they had these amazing times when they were kids and when they were younger with their families and how they love Hearthwarming Eve, and it's just the best thing ever. And they're all just having an amazing time. And they tell the story, they all tell their stories, their Christmas stories. I was with my family, we did some fun stuff. It's nothing too intimate, too deep. You learn a little bit about tradition, you learn a little bit about culture. With Yona, basically like everyone comes together for Hearthwarming Eve. and they just like get a big pile of sticks and stomp all over it for a day. And similarly, like with Smolder, all the dragons, they come together in a big circle, and they all start to tell stories. And whoever can tell the best story wins like a giant pile of gems. It's this big competition. And last year, the person who won, they told a story about this dragon who was homeless and got invited to a big feast by the Dragon Lord. And in his moment of weakness, in his moment of defenselessness, he cuts throats, slits a knife behind this guy's back, and basically steals his throne and takes over the whole land for himself. It's just this really interesting insight into their actual culture as a group, right? With Yona, this idea that like they just want to be crazy and have an awesome time. And similarly, like the dragons are always looking for ways to one-up themselves, right? And to be better than like an individual gain over the actual best thing for the group. Sort of individual gain instead of the actual best thing for the group. And so you start to learn where their backgrounds are and where they're really coming from as they start to embrace the school friendship and this mastermind connection with one another because they're coming together as a group, right? They're now like really getting this intimate understanding of where they're coming from. And then everybody, like, they go through like 4 or 5 people, and nobody confesses, and they're still cleaning up. And these guys are freaking out, they're like, hey, Sandbar, you should confess because you live in Ponyville. And he's like, no, dude, I'm gonna go with my family, I didn't do it, right? And he doesn't want to lie, right? And so they're trying to figure out what's the best thing for the whole group to do so that everybody can have the best outcome. Because it's just a huge mess everywhere. And they've done, they've cleaned up some of it, but like this can take forever. And similarly, like they don't want to miss out on their families for the holidays if no one confesses. And so, under all this pressure, Gallus steps up. And after hearing everybody's story about how they have the best heartwarming you've ever, and how that everyone's family loves them, and it's all amazing, and they're all doing just tremendous, he just explodes. He gets so upset, so sad, so distraught, so defeated. Because for him, the holidays, they don't mean any of this. They don't mean celebration, they don't mean cheerfulness, they don't mean friends, they don't mean happiness, they don't mean gifts. For him, this holiday is the one day in the year when the Griffins aren't mean to each other and they're just neutral and they just sit together and eat. Gallus doesn't have a family. Gallus doesn't have a home to come back to. The closest thing he has is an uncle who hates him. He has no love or connection anywhere in his life except in this mastermind. And he thought that if he could just ruin this holiday for everybody else, he realizes that it's not worth them arguing. It's not worth the pain that he is forced into their lives to do this. And he admits that he did all this crap just so that they could stay together and so that he wouldn't be alone. And they feel awful for him. Similarly, Twilight, the main 6, and Spike, like they all hear this crap and they walk in the room and they're like, dude, are you serious? That's insane. What the heck? Obviously, you guys are all big, like you gotta stay for some extra friendship classes. Like, you gotta stay for extra school. This is insane. And then what's really crazy is that these guys were just pushed against from this guy. They say, you know what, we want to stay with him because we care about him and we feel bad for him. By sharing his story and his positioning, where he's coming from and his truth and his identity, he creates stronger rapport with his friends than he had ever had before. And they all pledge to stay together so that he won't be alone. And they realize, the main 6, they realize that these guys don't need extra lessons. They don't need extra school. They just need each other. And that's the power. That's the insane power of the mastermind. Because together, they can overcome all their challenges, all their adversity. They can overcome as a group and move on to that next level of friendship, development, success, and achievement in their life, which is so powerful. They can overcome this lack of family by becoming the family. And they will make the self-sacrifice of not going home, and they'll sacrifice their own love so that they can stay together as a group and boost up Gallus so that the mastermind grows. That's the insane power of winning people to your side by telling stories so that others know where you're coming from. And then they have this big dinner after they clean everything up, and it's so cool. Awesome! Oh, that's so fun. Okay, so Friendship University. Basically, you guys remember Flip Land Brothers? They're still out there trying to make their bank, trying to make their million, trying to get it going, make some money. And basically, the way this starts, I don't think there's a better way to introduce it than They just have this amazing musical number. And let's just get right into it.
You're alone and you can't make friends, we understand your plight.
Until now, there was just one way your friendships could take flight.
There is a school real far away that'll teach you what to know. But if you live here, you couldn't stay.
You'd learn you have to go.
Now there is an alternative to all of that adversity.
Not just a school, I'll have you know, but a whole university. At Friendship U, our aim is true. In a city, not some backwater. You'll learn the things you need to know at our new alma mater.
That's it, every pony, you heard correctly.
Friendship U, the one and only University of Friendship.
As you can see, we're a success by any kind of stat.
That may be so, for all I know, but I still smell a rat.
Every pony lucky here that other schools had mare.
The presence is a testament to the mutual respect we share.
What? No, it isn't.
It really is the final piece to make our work complete.
To have the friendship princess bless our school is such a treat.
We're so honored at Friendship U.
We teach to you and you all of our friendship knowledge. You'll learn it all in half the time in the one and only Friendship College.
How can any pony learn friendship in half the time?
Our coursework is so accelerated to take longer and be a climb.
The lessons that we teach have been reviewed and checked and edited,
Which might explain why our new school's about to be
accredited. At Friendship U, oh yes, it's true. Even the Princess of Friendship agrees. The only place in Equestria to give out friendship degrees. Yeah!
Friendship U! Friendship U! Friendship U!
That's it, every pony, let's hear it! Tell us again why it's the best! It's the only university of Friendship U!
So these guys, alright, go. You see Star Swirl here, okay? Star Swirl starts out this episode. He sends Twilight this letter and he says, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I've really learned so much from your friendship lessons. It's been amazing. And I'm gonna roll in this friendship school now." She's like, "Oh, great, you're gonna come to school." And she says, "No, he's gonna go to this new place called Friendship University in Las Pegasus." You know, the dreamland of, so you got Las Pegasus over here. You got Ponyville over here, right? With the friendship school, right? And this is like dreamland for these boys, because this is where all the money is, right? And so they partner up with Chancellor Naysay to get this crap accredited, so they can market it like 10 times better than Twilight's able to market her school, which is in like the middle of nowhere. It's kind of like this idea of like Cornell, right? She goes into the office of Flim and Flam while they're in class with Rarity. She's trying to figure out like what in the world are these guys actually doing. And she just breaks into these filing cabinets, starts going through all this stuff they have, trying to find crap on them, dirt, anything that she can use. But all she finds are quality lessons aligned with the core values of friendship. And basically, Flim and Flam come back, and they see her in her office, snooping around, and they take a picture of her, right? And they say, "Hey, look, we just got this picture of you trying to like steal our stuff." And basically, they try to blackmail her. And they say, "We're going to publish this everywhere if you don't back off and leave us alone." Because she couldn't find any evidence that they were scamming people. She just didn't know how they made money, thought everything was free. And then she's walking down the hallway and she finds Rarity in disguise. And then Rarity reveals that like they charge money for the worksheets, and then it costs a whole lot of money to get these worksheets. And then she follows some of the students that are trying to go and actually pay for the worksheets, and she sees Flim and Flam literally take like all of the money from the students just to get these worksheets. And then as they're like charging these kids for their worksheets, after she's kind of left this office and tried to back off because she's scared that maybe she would get her public image hampered with, right? She doesn't want to lose face. She doesn't want to make people. She doesn't want people to think that she's jealous or she's hateful, because that's gonna hurt, right? And so she wants to maintain her face, and so she wants to keep this picture out of circulation or whatever, but she cares about what other people think about her, just like every other person on this planet. She cares about saving face. She follows these guys into their office, and they go into this secret room where basically they're like taking all the money that they take in from homework, and they're like funneling it in to this like big expansion project that they have for their hotel in Las Pegasus, and they're creating this huge resort. And then Twilight comes in behind them, and she's like, "Hey guys, pretty sure you're not supposed to take people's money for school and then build a hotel with it." And they're like, "Yeah, but you can't do anything about it because we got this picture of you snooping around, and we're gonna mess up your reputation if you expose us." And Twilight does something that's so powerful. She says that her reputation is not worth them scamming everyone out of all their money to charge for these homework sheets to teach friendship, right? And she pushes and pushes and pushes and pushes, and she makes a sacrifice of her own image for the well-being and monetary, well-being of all of the students, so that they can have success, even if it comes at her expense, which is what a true leader does. And then she presses and presses and presses, and she learns that basically all they did, and you kind of heard it in the song, this idea that like you learn friendship in half the time. Basically what they did is they took Twilight's lesson plans and they stole them somehow, and then they just tore out like half of the lesson plan and made it like half the length, so that it takes half the time. And it's just this huge copy of Twilight's thing, all to really fuel this hotel resort expansion project that they have, so that they can make a bunch of money and be super rich, which is like that's the truth, right? So she uncovers the truth, and she says that she will not keep quiet, and she doesn't care if they publish this incriminating picture or if they say bad things about her in the press, because to her, slander is better than having masses of people be basically just ripped off, which kind of sucks, with like this bad lesson planning, exorbitant prices for the homework crap, and then just total lies of where the money's actually going. And as these guys confess, Star Swirl and Rarity, they walk in and they hear everything, and they understand all the lies. And Star Swirl forces them to give back all the money that they took from these guys at exorbitant rates for this crap education. And in the end, forces them to come clean, because you cannot stand on lies for long. You cannot copy existing things and just expect them to succeed as you undercut others and force radically challenging competition into a marketplace while you simply copy and plagiarize others. Just is not a sustainable way to grow any kind of educational institution, any kind of business, any kind of group, community, movement. None of it will stand. If one person who is a leader is willing to stand up, do the right thing at their own expense, and so Star Swirl, like everyone's super excited, they give everyone their money back, and Star Swirl is really like, he's a huge fan of Twilight now. Originally he wasn't a big fan of Twilight, but now he just thinks she's the coolest. And he asks if he can come to her school, and of course she's like, "Yeah, sure, you got it, come to my school." And so they have a great time, they come together, they form a much stronger friendship, a much stronger bond, much stronger relationship as a group and as a team they could ever really have on their own, which is like ridiculously cool, super powerful, and it really all comes from her ability to connect back with him and solve this challenge as a team, which is exactly what they do. And they make everybody happy, and then everybody comes over to Twilight School, and she makes much, and just everyone gets to learn, and it's the best thing ever, right? Have the biggest impact possible on these individuals by cutting out the crap that is a total lie and bad influence in their life. The moment she does that, she changes everything for these guys. And it's just so powerful, it's just so huge. So really great thing there about sticking to your gut, sticking with your feelings, sticking with what you know is right, and then being willing to put your ass on the line to make it happen. This is a big concept, especially in financial markets. Like, you need to be willing to publicly state your opinion of a stock. And you have this chance that you can be wrong. And you need to accept that chance that you can be wrong. I remember this one time, just a little bit ago, we were in an investment committee, and we were managing this big endowment. And they've got like this 40 or 50 grand position in ADP. Oh God, what was the ticker? MDP. That's like a 40, 50 grand position in NPC, and they're trying to sell it at a loss. And I have to publicly state that this is, interior Bollinger Band W setup, VWAP breakthrough, or moving average breakthrough, and publicly say this is my belief. I stake my reputation on this because I know, based on technicals, that this stock is worth 10, 15% more than it is worth now. You should not sell this crap. Put everything out there and take on all the risk because I know that I'm right. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, I'm exactly right. In financial markets, you're not 100% right all the time. But like if you really, really, really strongly believe in your ideology, in your belief, and in your doings, you need to be willing to stake your reputation on it and really take that leap so that you can get to that end result. For these guys, it was just a couple of grand, maybe 4 or 5 grand. But you look at bigger case, you keep scaling and scaling and scaling over time. It's millions and millions and millions of dollars by holding your ground and being true to yourself and you know that you're right. And we've got so many more positions that were just like that. Like Adobe, as a head and shoulder setup, just so many interesting situations where like sticking to your ground when you know you're right and risking it all for what you know is the best decision for the group, for everyone that you can impact, will change everything and will establish you as a huge authority, a huge leader, and it'll allow you to build some of these really, really deep friendship, relationship connections and these assets that you have with other individuals where they highly respect you, and because of that, you can form these intimate relationships that work towards higher personal and professional goals, which is just ridiculously powerful and super, super, super awesome. So a lot of really great stuff.